Hello, people of YouTube. It's Deepak here, and welcome to the DCS news for the 1st of March 2025. I hope you all enjoyed that, my most recent video all about the Apache. This time taking a look at Laser Mavericks with the help of John Bloor, seeing how we can do lock on before launch, lock on after launch, and I've forgotten what the other one was called. I think it was Rapid Fire. I keep forgetting. So yeah, that's us. So we're kind of back on track with the Apache videos, hopefully. Welcome to the stream, Tog. Welcome, Tea Kettle Barbecue. Eagle Wings, Mark S, Orleans Junkie, Indie Navy, Golden Gnu, Pink Floyd, and Nico Persianian. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Yes, and as always, or as recently, I also have John Bloor here to do the DCS news with me. Hello, everyone.
How you doing? Hello. You just heard my voice already. Now you got to
Yes,
hear me again. Oh shit.
you're going to hear more of it, and you're going to like it.
You're gonna like it, all right? You're gonna fucking like it.
Welcome to the stream, Paul Cope, Tech Gaming 45, B Denson, Osprey, Sean I'm 81. Interesting story. Ooh, thank you very much, Frantic, for the donation. I have some interesting topics to suggest, and I need John to weigh in on favourite biscuits. Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll cover that for sure. Ironically, his text for me is in gold, so that seems to have fitted the theme because we were talking about gold biscuits digestives, weren't we?
That is true. That was discussed. Welcome to the stream, Mr. Yeti, Dancer, Tea Kettle Barbecue, Ginger Nuts dunked in a fresh cup of splosh.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Ginger nuts always decent.
Actually, I'm a big fan of the Game Grumps. I don't know if anybody else watches the Game Grumps, but they did this one where they were taking a look at different strange TikTok kind of food combinations. And one that they did that they said was actually delicious was dunking Oreo cookies into orange juice. And it sounds crazy, but apparently it works.
Okay.
So there
I
you
can
go.
see how maybe that could work. Yeah,
That's
maybe the orange juice seeps into like the creamy bit. I don't
It
know.
does. In fact, that's
Yeah.
exactly what they commented on. They said that the cream becomes an orange cream in between the two chocolate biscuits, and they said it's very
Mm,
pleasant.
wow, I'm digging it. Yeah, I'll have to give that a try.
There you go. From across the water, the Americans have schooled us. Um, Frantic, that decided the how much I was going to pay for a super chat. 9.99. Brilliant. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. That's very kind. Colin Billington. What else have we got? Who else? Oh, orange juice and vodka. Well, okay, that works too.
That sounds good.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we're straight in on the snacks. We're talking about
Yeah.
the important stuff. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. A little bit of extra tutorial about the Apache. It's been a little bit of time coming, but I'm going to try and get back on it. I also want to take this opportunity to tell you all that there is a bonus video that was also filmed by myself and John Bloor today. I'm not going to give too much away, but I think you might enjoy it. So go ahead and smash that like button. Go on into little itty bitties. Do me a solid. And once we hit 50 likes on the stream, I will immediately set this bonus video live. It's not entirely without instructional merit, but it's mostly a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll enjoy yourself and you might learn something along the way, which is how it always should be.
Learning less, enjoying yourself more. I think with this one.
Absolutely. Marquez, onion rings dipped in chocolate milkshake.
Oh.
You, sir, are a savage.
Oh, get out of here. Jesus Christ.
It actually kind of sounds good, but I'm also disgusted.
I am. Yeah.
Which also that's right where you want to be.
Yeah. It's like it might be delicious, but at what cost?
Exactly. Nico, I guess we're all topped with our fuels and ready for the mission. Yes, absolutely. So let's dive into this week's newsletter. If we jump here, I didn't have it scrolled all the way up. Dear fighter pilots, partners, and friends. One of the first things that they're talking about this week is the development progress that they've been making with weapons. And this actually Often they're putting out these kind of white papers and things like that, and it's a little bit academic and a little bit boring. I checked through this one, and actually, this, to my mind at least, is kind of cool. I like some of the details they're working on for the weapons. I think it's kind of cool.
Hmm.
Um, Osprey, if it's naked wrestling, I'm unliking. How dare you, sir? You should all be so lucky.
But what will happen is Osprey will unlike, but then we'll get like way more. He'll be absolutely offset by that. We'll be fine.
No, Osprey will simply get his second secret account and like
Yeah,
using that.
yeah, incognito mode, exactly.
Welcome to the stream, Dirk G. So yes, modern missiles use reduced smoke solid fuel rocket motors, as well as liquid fueled motors. However, these cease to be low smoke at altitude due to the drop in temperature. The exhaust of solid fuel missiles, such as the AMRAAM's HTPB/AP fuel, contains hydrogen chloride HCI, which at low temperatures forms crystals, generates a dense contrail. The exhaust of liquid fueled missiles contains water vapor, which also generates a dense contrail in cold air. In winter, a contrail can appear even lower altitudes. At Arctic temperatures, the contrail may appear even at ground level.
Wow.
I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record, but I'm going to tell you all. I'm going to tell you all that this was already implemented in War Thunder quite some time ago. They already model the effect of it's like exhaust of different engines in vehicles, but also the exhaust from different missiles appearing differently at different ambient temperatures. And they've had that for at least a couple of years now, I think. So I have to say, again, DCS trailing behind the accuracy and simulation finesse of War Thunder here.
Yeah. I think ED and DCS in general, they're quite reactive in their some of their features.
Mm,
So I've noticed that like do you know how like we got the F-15 in BMS, then we get an F-15C.
yeah.
We get various little features like the clouds in MSFS, then we get the clouds in DCS. You have a lot of people like suddenly a renaissance for BMS as far as its the dynamic campaign, and
Yes.
then dynamic campaigns coming. So I'm not saying that they don't look forward and they don't work hard and they've got great features, but I have noticed they are quite reactive, and it kind of makes sense in a way because like it's a safer bet, I guess, to like invest your resources and time into something if you know it's already been done before and it has a great effect. You were saying like with War Thunder that if you've noticed it, a ton more other people have probably noticed it as well, and so they're like, "Oh, cool, that's a worthwhile kind of thing to put our resources towards." So it makes sense from a business perspective, but yeah, it does feel like a little bit like, "Hang on a minute, War Thunder's got it."
Nice new clouds, anyone?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, no, this was something because I noticed it in the winter and Arctic missions in War Thunder quite some time ago, and the reason I noticed it was because I kind of questioned it. I was like, "Oh, is that really what missile trails look like in cold air?" And I looked it
Mm.
up, and yes, indeed, that's what they look like. Because to me, it was very strange. I thought they looked odd, and I'd never seen ones that looked like that because DCS doesn't do it. Yeah, so there you go. And here we go. Yeah, they got a nice wee screenshot here of exactly what this effect would look like. And, of course, I've never seen this in real life, but I've seen it in War Thunder. This looks a lot like War Thunder, so I'm sure it's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Because obviously War Thunder is entirely sim realistic.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so this is a screenshot of an F-15C. I wonder why they've chosen that one. Aircraft launching a missile at a target high above it. As illustrated in the image, the first part of the missile's flight has low smoke trail, low smoke, not no, where the air temperature is above -25 Celsius. As the missile climbs, a dense contrail appears as the air temperature falls below -25 Celsius.
yeah.
So there you go. Very, very
Mm.
cool.
I'll tell you
Um,
one thing. I would just say this as well for War Thunder is I know people hate the comparisons because it upsets some people, but one thing nobody can really doubt is their art department are like amazing. Like War Thunder looks incredible. Like as far as like the detail for the vehicles and some of the effects and some of they added afterburn effects not long ago, didn't they? And they look like really really nice and stuff.
yes.
So they've definitely got that side of things. There's questions about other things, but that's something I think everyone can kind of look at and go, yeah, that looks awesome.
Hmm. I I like War Thunder, but I don't go to War Thunder for my accuracy. I go to
No,
DCS for my accuracy, and of course, even DCS is not 100% accurate, as our man, Daddy Wags himself, recently said, but we'll be talking
Yeah.
about that a little bit later.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's like also you don't go and watch Mary Poppins if you want to see like people getting shot with machine guns, do you? You know, so you'll go and watch an Arnold film if you want to do that. So
Speak for
yeah, it's all about
yourself.
horses for courses. Yeah, well, who knows? There could be a remake of Mary Poppins, you know.
Indeed. Yeah, we're also working on trajectory fluctuations of older generation surface to air missile systems. So they say here that they've added authentic guidance algorithms for the older Soviet SA-2 and SA-3 systems. Due to the low angular accuracy of the first generation radars and the design features of the radio control command systems, there are noticeable fluctuations observed in the flight path of SAM missiles. These limitations lead to increased errors in the targeting, which was compensated for by larger warheads. Because,
Cool.
who needs to be accurate when you got big boom?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. I love little details like this. I think it's really really cool. And it's yeah, I still get wow. And it's silly, but I still get wowed when you fire off a is it a Lima Hellfire and it does that cool little whip shot, and I'm like, it looks
Yes.
really cool. Yeah,
Yes.
it looks great.
Oh, and what's the. I quite like the Vickers as well in the K50.
Oh
They're
yeah, yeah,
they're spinning mode of flight where they only have one control surface, so it has
yeah,
to constantly spin, and the surface like flaps at just the right time in its rotation to
yeah,
make it turn. It's
yeah,
it's so old school and weird, but it works.
yeah. It's great. It looks like a golden retriever's tail when it's running, like wagging, isn't it? It kind of does that funny little thing as it goes along. It's great.
And you do like sometimes it's like kind of making these circles around the target, and then it eventually gets it kind of
Mm,
zoned in. What was the other one actually? There was is it the laser guided bombs that do they call it bang bang guidance, where
yeah,
they do full deflections of the control surfaces and then reset to neutral.
yeah,
They don't like try and finesse it. They just go eh, eh,
yeah, yeah.
and
I think the
you end up
Shrike
with the
does
whole
that as well,
bomb
doesn't it?
kind of doing this.
It's doing this, yeah, because the Shrike does that as well, doesn't it? I think if you fire it in direct mode,
Mhm.
it's using and you're not setting it into like a loft parameter, it will bang bang. It would just and they say that the problem with that is it loses so much energy when it's doing
Yes,
that because it's wobbling away. So yeah, it's really interesting.
but it
No,
is.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, it is simpler to implement, and I think there's also some kind of an implication of it battery life as well, because
Mm,
these weapons tend to be quite battery limited.
mhm.
Hmm. Oh, and actually, interesting story made exactly your point that yes, the
Yeah,
Shrike missiles do that.
yeah.
Quick reminder, everybody, smash that like button. If we get to 50 likes, we've got a bonus video coming in.
Yeah.
They've also implemented two guidance modes for these older SAMs. By default, the improved proportional navigation mode is used, but if the target uses a jammer or has a velocity of less than 100 meters per second, it'll use pure pursuit. Pink Floyd, doesn't the Vicar spin to follow the laser beam it's riding or something? It's not a beam rider. Actually, that's another just allow me to school you all because I happen to know about the Vicar. The Vicar is weird because it doesn't ride the beam. The K50 projects a grid using its laser, and the Vicar knows where it is in the grid, and it seeks towards the middle of the grid. So it's not even a beam rider, strangely.
That's
Um,
really cool. I didn't know that.
yeah, and it spins to stabilize itself for one thing, but secondarily it spins because it only has one control surface, and so it needs the control surface to be at different positions
Mm,
during the course of its flight. So there you go.
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of it's one of those bizarre things that only the Russians would come up with.
Mm. Yeah,
uh,
they've done loads of stuff like that. I was reading up about is it the Alpha submarine that used is it lead bismuth reactor, and
mm,
that was how the Alpha subs were so fast. But the problem is that if it cools down, it just freeze. It literally just turns to metal and just seizes the entire thing up. So
huh,
even when they're in port, they have to keep the thing hot because if it all goes under a certain heat, it just literally it'd be like as if you filled a bunch of pipes of metal.
yeah,
And it's fascinating, and it allowed it to do amazing things, but it's just wacky and crazy and just Soviet.
very Soviet, but it does
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
They're also implementing realistic patterns of the proximity fuses. We recently added new and more realistic SAM missile proximity blast patterns for fuses. The proximity blast pattern is now more realistic, wagon wheel shape, the blue shape in this screenshot,
Mm,
rather than being spherical,
mm. That's really cool.
as Sean Connery would say.
Yeah.
Alexander, is that why the reticle in the K50 Cheval is a squarish box with a center dot? That I don't know.
Hmm.
But maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that one. So yeah, this allows the SAM missile warheads to more effectively fuse when the target is in the lethal area of the expanding rod zone. This increases the SAM lethality. This new mechanism allows us to get unique shapes and sizes of patterns based on fuse and warhead types. It's an important step in the development of munitions for DCS. You can expect the first implementation of this feature for the AIM-120 air-to-air missile in the next update. This is coming soon, kids. It's very
That's really
exciting.
cool. Could you say that this might be a precursor to things like flechette rounds as well and MPSM and stuff like that? We might see forward patterns, not just the wagon wheels, but we might have to be able to have like rockets that do multi-purpose munitions and take out troops, and then the earlier flechette stuff and all that kind of cool things. Because they've been talking about proper frag damage as well. So maybe this is all I put my little tinfoil hat on. I'm trying to look forward. I've got my Mystic Meg ball out. I'm trying to
I,
think.
I
Yeah.
would hope so.
Mm,
Because we know that ED have committed to adding some more of the rocket types for the Apache as time goes on as
mm,
well, and of course the Apache had. I don't know if you would call it exactly a flechette, but there was like a kind of weird version of the Hellfire that was anti personnel, like it was like a VIP anti personnel thing, where it
mm,
basically just had like a metal rod in it,
mm.
and it was designed to just like hit a single like very important person. And like
Are you trying?
they used this in Afghanistan for killing Taliban commanders, basically.
This isn't the Ninja Blade, is it? The
This is the
Hellfire.
Ninja
I was
Blade,
thinking.
actually. Sorry,
Oh,
yes,
dude, yeah, the Hellfire X, dude, that thing's scary. But in a
yeah,
way, if you think about it, it's much more. Sounds really weird to say. It's a lot more like what's the word? Ethical.
environmentally friendly.
Yeah, it's environmentally friendly. It's a lot more ethical because you're not taking out anyone out. You're only taking out the bad guy.
Uh-huh.
But sadly, the bad guy gets turned into Stroganoff
Yes,
because that thing is spinning, and it's basically like 6 or 8 samurai swords. It literally just blends someone. Horrific, but also fascinating.
I'm not sure that that I'm happy that these things exist, but it's interesting.
Yeah,
uh,
exactly. Yeah,
you know, yeah, it's just a bit horrible. Like you go
yeah.
to the funeral and the guy's in a bucket. It's just a bit gross.
Yeah, that's not an open casket funeral.
No, 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 it's not. That's horrible. But yes,
You'd be like, who's left this like this tray of lasagna here? And you're like, no, it's an open casket.
oh man, yes. Which
uh,
actually reminds me of Rick and Morty, where there was an episode where there was alien people who their meat was perfect lasagna or something like that.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
that's an
anyway.
aside. But yeah, I was also thinking about the flechette rockets, which the Apache
Yeah,
can also employ.
yeah.
Madness,
Oh,
absolute madness.
madness.
Anyway, after that unpleasantness, I apologize, chats. Let's move on. We have the Marianas 1944 development update. And yet they're currently developing it with a focus on the brutal battles between the United States and Japan for the islands of Saipan, Guam, and Tinian in the summer of
Mm,
1944.
mm,
This coincided with the Battle of the Philippine Sea that saw large scale naval warfare between aircraft carrier task forces. Very cool, very cool.
mm.
So, yeah, they list a bunch of battles that we'll be able to basically recreate. They're also showing us the difference. I can tell that on the left hand side we've got present day, and right hand side we've got the World War II bits of the maps. So this is kind of cool to see.
Mm.
Um, yeah, is there really much more to say about that? They talk a lot about each of the islands. Um, yeah, there's not
Yeah,
really much more to say about this other than it's going to look different.
yeah. It's
But
cool.
yeah, they detail all the different islands and then what the differences are going to be.
I like the idea that they're doing the same a map in 2 different timelines. I think that's really cool.
That is really
You know,
cool.
yeah. I mean, I'd love to see some stuff like even the Normandy map. What would that look like if it was modern day? I mean, that's probably never going to happen, but stuff
Hmm.
like that would be quite cool. In certain areas, they talked about doing a Germany map, haven't they, as well? With sort of, I think it's mostly to be like Cold War folder gap kind of stuff, but that could potentially be used for late World War II stuff. If you're doing kind of bombing runs and as the invasion started going further on. So yeah, it'd be cool to see some stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I like Osprey's comment. They're basically just deleting the airfields, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And everyone's talking about Marinara, which
Yeah.
is always what I think of the map as being called. I can't get it out of my
Absolutely.
head. It's
Yeah.
delicious. And it's free. It's
Yeah.
free. That's us at 25 likes, everybody. We're only another 25 away from
Mm.
having a superb bonus video starring myself and John Bluer. So, you know what to do. You know what to
Mm.
do. You can make this happen. I believe in you. Anyway, lastly, the newsletter talks about Matt Wagner's Q&A video, which he recently posted. Your overwhelmingly positive response to Matt Wagner's January Q&A has not gone unnoticed. Many new and interesting questions came from the previous video, so this one will seek to provide some answers. So yes, our man Matt Wagner talked on a number of subjects, and of course a number of big ones. One of them being, of course, him addressing the controversy around the choice of the F-35A, and also he commented on the repeated requests for modern Ruski stuff and why that's not coming. He also gave away the fact that there is a third helicopter being worked on. Ooh.
Yeah.
And John knows exactly what it is. He's figured it out.
Oh, I don't know if it is this. It sounds like
I'm
I've
just
got some
dropping
sort
you
of
in it.
background.
That's
Yeah.
all.
It sounds like I'm breaking some NDA. I'm like, no, don't do that. No, I don't know. I don't know for sure. But I would put a serious wager money. I think it's a whiskey cobra. I really
Mm.
do. Because there was not all that long ago, Wags was talking on, I think it was Movers podcast. He had a Q&A on there, like a live Q&A. And he said someone said something about Cobra, and I remember him saying something along the lines of like, "Oh, we've now got documentation for it, but we'll get around to it whenever," kind of stuff. And then I don't know. I just think it makes the most amount of sense based upon what's going on. I could be 100% wrong. I'm happy to be wrong on that one, but if I was a betting man, Whiskey Cobra,
Yeah.
maybe a Foxtrot Sierra, but I think the Whiskey Cobra fills a bigger gap. The Foxtrot Sierra is cool, but other than toes, it's not. It's really just rockets and guns, really. Whereas the Whiskey Cobra has not only is it have a range of weapons, including things like the sidearm, hellfires, toes, sidewinders, that really cool 20 millimeter gun. What it also has is things like throughout its years, it's had things like CMOS added, and as time went on, it had the ALQ 144, the disco ball,
Ah,
at one
yes.
point.
Yes.
What's cool about a whiskey cobra is you could effectively do like a bit like the F-14. You could do like an early and a late, and you could do any. I think the whiskey was first around like mid 80s, and then it retired like 2018, 2017. So that's a serious timeline. And it's cool.
Kind of similar to the Kiowa in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah, exactly, and it's got a cool like it's kind of analog, but there's the odd, it's got a HUD, but it's got like analog stuff in it, and that's kind of cool. And then the doctrine is completely different, like it's U.S. Marine Corps, and they just use it completely different to Apache. People were saying, like, why would I need this if it's an Apache? Well, it's used completely differently.
Yeah.
And I was even saying like the 20 millimeter gun. People complain with the Apache that they can't really use the gun in like air to air and stuff. It's like okay at close range. That 20 millimeter, it's high velocity, and I'm pretty sure as far as the Marines using it, the whole point is it's for self protect. Like
Mhm.
those Cobras will go in with twin Hueys or Venoms, and their whole point is to basically escort them in and deal with anything they come across. So they're designed to take stuff on. It could be the other one is whether it would be a Zulu Cobra, which would be badass.
That would be
I
nice.
just I just suspect that the Zulu Cobra is just a bit close to the Delta longbow that we've got.
Hmm.
And I feel like the whiskey fills a more interesting gap. Not that I wouldn't love a Zulu,
Mm.
but I mean, I'm gonna put my oar out there is that especially after the F-35, dude, I would kill for a Comanche. A
Well,
lot of people would be like, "Whoa," but yeah.
I was also saying here, interesting story posts Comanche with open source info sweats.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because,
well,
yeah,
yeah. Well, the Comanche, if you think about it, so what happened was is that was retired, as everyone knows. It kind of never really got off the ground, but it had they had flying prototypes.
yeah.
There is documentation out there. And the thing is, other than maybe the stealth technology as far as the radar absorbent material and that kind of stuff, maybe there's some other stuff we don't know about. But a lot of what was in it was then ported over to the rest of the helicopter, stable.
I
Effectively,
think it's fair to say that a Comanche would be just as real as the K50 we currently have in DCS.
absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And to be honest, it wasn't as far as like raw ability. It doesn't have anything really much more than what I know at least than the Delta longbow we've got.
yeah.
So you're not looking at something crazy overpowered with exotic materials and stuff. If they're going to do an F-35, to me, I'm like, Comanche would be great. I mean, we remember the Nova Logic games, the Comanche Nova
Oh
Logic games.
yes, absolutely.
And it's just such a cool looking helicopter. And my argument for something like that would be is it's like digital conservation. I'd be like, wouldn't it be cool to have that, just to have it around? But
I,
it,
sorry, I noticed that Robbie Hobby said K26, and actually, this is a man after my own heart. Like I don't know if anyone actually knows about the K26, but it's an early Kamov helicopter. It has the counter rotating blades, just like a K50, but it has two rotary reciprocating engines powering it.
yeah,
And it's normally used in agriculture these days for crop spraying. Um, it's an utterly ridiculous helicopter. I don't know if they ever had a military version. I guess they probably did.
mm,
But yeah, certainly in the present day, it's just a very silly helicopter.
yeah,
And I think they're very cool.
yeah,
Lynx. Somebody Ripstop says Lynx. Tog.
yeah,
All Kamov designs are Franken helis.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think they're super cool. Like I really like Kamov helicopters. I think they're very
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, sorry, Pink Floyd. I will continue to be somewhat condescending about the K50 that we have in game
yeah,
because it's kind of a combination of three different prototypes and it's not really a real helicopter. But I
yeah,
do like it. It is a nice
yeah.
helicopter.
It's
Um,
great.
yeah. Oh, Tog said K27. If I remember correctly, that's the maritime one. That's the one
Mhm.
that was kind of a bit more. Yeah, K27. Um, yeah, K27 is like an actual military helicopter. K26 is just a little bit silly,
Yeah.
but I like it.
Is the Ka-27 the one that's like a caravan with contra rotating helicopters?
Yes.
It literally looks like a flying caravan. I love
Yeah.
it.
It's a
Yeah.
naval helicopter. They're normally embarked upon like cruisers and things like that in the Russian Navy, and they can like drop sonar buoys, drop torpedoes. You know, they're that kind of standard naval helicopter business.
Yeah. ASW kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They're very cool. Sim Racer, doesn't the K50 have a Wily Coyote ejection seat? Yes, it does. It
Yeah.
has an ejection seat.
Yeah.
Explosive bolts
Mm.
detach the rotors, and then you're hoisted out the top. I
Mm.
think the K52 has the same system, but for both crew members.
Yeah.
I would assume they go in the sequence as opposed to at the same time.
Yeah. I think hasn't the Ka-52, tell me if I'm wrong, but hasn't that got that blast cord on the top that you see on that the Harrier and stuff, if I
I
remember
don't
rightly on
know.
the top?
I actually don't
I'd
know.
have to maybe it's an image of it somewhere. I'm sure I did see that it's got that blast cord stuff. So I don't think the canopy necessarily blows off, but I think they just shatter and then they get launched out. I could
Yeah,
be wrong.
I like Tech Gaming 45's comment. Explosive bolts, if they work. You know, this is the Russian Air Force after all. Um,
Exactly, yeah.
funny thing in the Ukraine war, I don't recall having seen any K-52 crews eject. I've
Mm,
seen a few of them crash land and then
mm,
disembark. I don't recall having seen any of them actually eject. So I
mm.
wonder how much the crews trust it.
They probably don't. Yeah, I can imagine if you think you can auto rotate it down, you'd rather do that than eject out of it for sure. Yeah,
Yes.
because
And quite
like,
a lot of K-52s have been shot down. So we have a lot of evidence of them being shot
mm,
down. But I don't, and this could just be my memory. I don't remember seeing anybody eject.
mm, yeah, for sure.
Hmm. The K27 looks like it stole the front wheels from a shopping cart. Yes, yes, it does. It's
Hilarious. Love
apparently
it.
a very good helicopter. Like it does
Mm,
its job very well, but it is
yeah.
odd looking.
Yeah. We've had this before. We've joked about stuff on this stream, and then there's been people in the comments section being like, "Oh, you guys, if you're like biased," and we're like, "No, it's great. It works great. It's just hilarious to see how it works." Like we've talked about the is it the RWR on the hind? Literally looks like a bottle cap with like
Oh,
LEDs on it, but it works. It does the job, especially for the time. I'd
if
rather have that than nothing.
if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid.
Exactly. To quote Clarkson, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Tog, how much do you want to bet they don't tell the pilots that it has an ejection seat to keep them from ejecting over Ukraine and surrendering?
Absolutely. That sounds
No,
about right.
I'm pretty sure they know it's there. I think they just don't trust it.
Yeah.
But again, this is total conjecture. I don't have any facts here.
Mm.
Yeah, we're at 37 likes, people. Let's
Ooh, it's
pump
creeping up.
those likes, pump those likes. If you
Mm.
want to see some bonus content. So yes, also it was kind of funny that Wags gave away the fact that combined arms was never really intended as a module, and it's something they threw together and then tried to sell. Um,
Yeah,
that's kind
yeah,
of
for
funny
sure.
and makes a lot of sense. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it.
Mm,
I like the honesty. I think that's really good. They're just
mm,
like, yeah, we made this thing and we thought it was kind of cool. Do you like it?
mm.
And I rather like combined arms. I think it's pretty fun.
It's do you know what's funny is I for a while ago I was like I'm sure this is some sort of proof of concept,
Hmm.
and they've used this like while ago someone told me to say they said basically once you start seeing through the eyes of MCS, which is their like professional stuff,
Yeah.
a lot of their decisions on the biggest scale start making sense with DCS. DCS is kind of like down, not always, but it's mostly downstream of whatever they're doing in their professional stuff with their contracts. Like I'm sorry, nobody will ever know this because it's not going to be the case, but I am absolutely convinced that they have documentation for the F-35. They just can't talk about it because the problem is that Wags has said before, he's been very clear. He said, I got to be able to sort of like point at every one of my sources.
Hmm.
If a guy turns up in a black sedan outside of my house, I've got to be able to go, this is where we got it from.
Yes.
And if I can't do that, we're not going to touch it. The other thing is that they don't want to stumble upon the right numbers. Like there's going to be numbers that aren't right. Like I think it's kind of common knowledge that a lot of the missile systems and radar systems probably underperform. And they're probably in real life probably perform a lot better, or at least differently. And I think what's going on is that you would not want to stumble upon the right number by accident and then get someone knock on your door. And the only way you can absolutely be sure that's the case is that you know what those numbers are.
Yes.
So that's my opinion. I could be wrong. I can't verify it, and we'll never get that verified. But I'm just 100% convinced of that, and I think they know more than they can say, and they're never going to tell us they can. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think it is. I think he is telling the truth as far as like, yes, there's lots of like stuff out there that we can glean information from, and he did make it clear, didn't he? He said we're not doing a 2025 F-35. We're doing a 2014 or whatever it was, wasn't it? Like 20 or even
That's
2012 or something
right.
like that.
I think he
It
said 2012,
Yeah,
which
like an
seems
early
very
block.
early because I think the RAF squadron for the F-35 was only activated in 2018. So like we didn't even have them back then. So this could only be US customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's that. And then someone just said in the chat, which is absolutely bang on at Astro Recordings, that Wags is a great PR face for the company, right?
Yeah,
He
agreed.
he is. That's both a compliment and not a criticism, but it's a compliment as far as like, yes, he is. He's fantastic. They need to use him more because he's
Yes.
very, very good. But also keep in mind every one of these Q&As in some way or another are a form of public relations. It's a PR thing. This is all they will answer the questions that they feel that give them the maximized pos- positive public relations. So
Uh-huh.
always keep that in mind. Even when you're getting a QA, it's still a form of marketing. So just keep that in mind whenever they talk about stuff. That's not me criticizing. That's what you do as a business. Absolutely.
Hmm.
But yeah, always keep that in the back of your mind with these sorts of things.
Sim Taylor also mentioning the superbug. I was going to come to that one. I
Mm.
also liked the admission that he was like, well, the classic Hornet is still selling well.
Yeah, no, I
And it's
look,
like that's a genuine reason. You'd like, yeah, fair enough.
look. Why would you create a product that competes with your own?
Yeah.
Why would you ever do that? Like, I'm telling you now, they probably have a lot of systems ready to go to create a super bug once they see those sales dip out,
Uh-huh.
right? I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll be able to start that up real quick. But why would you ever create a product that would compete with your own product?
Yeah.
I had this debate with someone once because I think personally, I think for the free they're adding the SU-25, aren't they, for free?
They are. Yes.
Recently, I've argued for ages that I think they should add a F-16A, like a Block 10 or something like that, right? So you're talking. I don't know if they ever got
I
Sparrows,
I,
maybe Sparrows.
I strongly agree. I don't know if Sparrows were ever integrated into the F-16.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe someone might know. But at the very least, I would do, and I know this is like controversial with certain people. I could see them if you were to do that FC3 level, so
Uh-huh.
or F Flaming Cliffs level F-16, because it's a cool jet. It's not too good. Like it's pretty. You could still have. I think they had like maybe Mavericks, maybe, but it's mostly like Dime bombs. Fox
Well, it
twos,
was
all that
originally
kind of.
designed as the low cost companion to the F-15.
Exactly. So have an F-16A, have that cool like pocket calculator weapons management system, and it's all analog and all that kind of stuff. I do that, and then have it FC3. And someone said to me, "Oh, it should be full fidelity," and I'm like, "That will never happen because you're then creating a product which is now going to compete with the F-16C. That's never going to happen." But the
Ah,
beauty is, if you have a FC3 level F-16A, and you deliberately don't give it loads of amazing
which is
weapons.
what they did with the A-10.
Yeah, exactly. Then what you could do is have that as a free jet that people get into. They're like, cool, because that's a cool jet, isn't it?
It's a
F-16A is a
very
cool
cool.
jet.
Yeah.
And the beauty is that you could just have that super clean with two sidewinders, and that thing would rip around at two circle, rip around.
Yeah.
But you create a product that then doesn't compete with the F-16C, but it acts, if anything, as a stepping stone. You want to have it a little bit limited, so you go, oh, you really like the F-16? Here's the upgrade to the C. But if it competes for the C, they're never going to do it. So I mean, you could make an argument even that wouldn't compete. But I'd have that as free. I'm not even saying you buy that F-16A. I would have it. It comes with DCS. That's the free jet. And I would have that. And I think you'd get a lot more people jumping into DCS and being like, oh yeah, cool. I don't want to be horrible. The Su-25T is a cool jet, but most people, if you don't know anything about DCS, you're not big into it, and then the first thing you get is like this weird frog foot,
Uh-huh.
which as you're flying around, it's like, yes, you may. You're like, what the? You don't understand
Well,
anything. It's all a Cyrillic.
it starts shouting at you in Tarkov Scav language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, good delta for your stalker. You're like, what the hell? Yeah, you just jump in a jet. Like, if you don't know anything about DCS, it's not got that much of appeal. But everyone pretty much knows what an F-16 is. So, I think that's my little like suggestion. I think for
Hmm.
DCS, that would be a great free jet that comes with the game. And look, people complaining about that, then don't fly it. You could fly the F-16C because it's got loads more doodads.
Yeah.
And let the people start. It's like when people. I always just remember when like, you get like rock bands and metal bands, and you have that like the generic rock bands, and you get the more hardcore metal fans or rock fans. Oh, those bands they're rubbish, and it's like they're not for you. They're like a gateway. They're the bands that people
It's the,
get into.
it's the gateway drug.
It's a gateway drug, exactly. That's what the F-16A should be. It should be a gateway drug.
Tech Gaming
Your first dose.
45 saying there were no Fox ones in the F-16.
Yeah,
That was my recollection. Like I as I understood it, they were going to certify it for the Sparrows, but then the AMRAAM was coming, so it
yeah,
actually only ever got Sidewinders.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, Sim Racer, they should adopt the free A4 at DCS Towers as a free jet.
yeah. That'd be great.
That would
Yeah,
be great. The A4 is amazing. It's
yeah.
really,
Great
really
jet.
amazing.
Hmm.
Huh? Sim Racer and make the Gazelle free as it's basically bonkers. What, are Polychop not allowed to make money anymore? Why would they make it free?
Yeah, because that was great. It's bonkers in the best way. It's great. I love it.
Yes. Yeah, but I don't understand why it should be free.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is good. I do like it.
Mm.
Um, it's 2003 version of the C with the data link system.
Mm.
Okay, so they're saying it's quite an old F-16C that we have.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what year it's supposed to be from. I thought it was a bit later. I thought it was at least 2008, but I
Mm.
could be wrong. Someone much further up in the chat, by the way, was also saying that we really, of course, want a Sea Harrier with the radar and
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and like obviously
Mm.
that's what we want.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
There was a
Uh,
comment underneath the video actually, which I think got a lot of likes, and it was someone basically saying we'd love to see more European aircraft. You know,
yes,
things like I'd love to see. We've talked about this Jag,
I
Buccaneer.
would love the Jag. Yes,
Yeah, Jag, Buccaneer, Mirage 3. I mean, we've got the Mirage F1, which is great, but like a Mirage 3 would be really cool.
yeah,
Jag, you could potentially do the French and the British versions. Like obviously we're
yes.
getting the Tornado. Dude, call me mad. I'd love an F3. An
John, you're
F3 would be
mad.
great. You're mad. Yeah, an F3 would be cool because the Italians had those, didn't they, as well, if I remember rightly? The F3s, didn't they? The ADV variant.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they did. I know another country did operate the F3s, or at least the air defense versions. Some just Buccaneer, dude. Buccaneer would be rad. Stuff like that would be really really cool. I mean, we're getting the G91. What was the other one? Alpha Jet would be cool as
Oh,
well. That'd be a really cool
Alpajet's
jet.
quite capable. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
aircraft.
yeah, 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 for
Uh,
sure.
Sim Racer, the MI8 is the most confusing model in my view, with the light switches in 15 different places in the cockpit. True, true. It's a bizarre thing. But go and check out my playlist all about the MI8 if you want to learn how to operate it, because I go in a lot of depth about how to operate that thing. And it's actually fine when you get used to it. It's just
Yeah,
like you have to be. It takes 3 people to start the thing up, but then once you've got it started up, it's actually not too bad to fly. It's
yeah.
okay. We're at 42 likes now, everybody. Keep smashing that button. Once we hit 50, you'll get a bonus video. Oh,
Hmm,
yes.
wicked.
Um, at Astro Recordings, I'm a Hind specialist. The lighting doesn't make any more sense. Well, of course, the Hind is basically an MI8, or at
Hmm,
least it grew out of the MI8 project.
yeah.
Someone asking for a Hunter. Mm,
Hunter would be cool, dude. I know it failed with VEAIO, whatever they're called, but
yeah.
a hawk's been used by a lot of countries, and a couple of them have even stuck sidewinders and rockets and bombs on them. So,
Well, even the
you know,
RAF put Sidewinders on them.
yeah, yeah. Do you remember? Was it they were at one point looking at as part of interceptions that you'd have like tornadoes or phantoms, or whatever, acting as like the main missile slingers, but then hawks acting as like basically interference with sidewinders and trying to sneak
Oh.
around and do stuff, which I thought was really cool.
Well, and interesting bit of information. The Adore engine
Mm.
of the Hawk is the same engine used in the Jaguar. The only
Yeah,
difference is that in the Jaguar you've got 2 of them, and they put afterburning cans on the back. But
yeah,
it's the same engine.
yeah, cool.
So there you go.
Mm.
Nice. Alrighty. Wags also was asked about a Black Hawk, and that's when we got the information about the fact that we've our helicopter teams are already working on the Chinook and the Apache and a third secret helicopter. So he basically said no uh,
Yeah,
to that one just now, although he did say that they would love to make one.
yeah,
He was also questioned about the dynamic campaigns, and I've been saying for a while it'll drop any day now, and apparently I'm very wrong because Wags was saying, oh, maybe towards the end of the year. They desperately want to release it, but it's just not ready yet. So
yeah,
sorry for the misinformation, everybody. I got the impression it was coming out very soon. That's apparently not true.
yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, I think also didn't he say it would be single player first as well,
Yes.
for that one? So we're probably for at least multiplayer, definitely looking into next year. And another thing you mentioned about the Black Hawk as well is it'd probably be a Lima variant rather than a Mike variant. So that would be, if anyone's seen the Black Hawk mod for
Uh-huh.
DCS, it would look a lot like that. So it's pretty much 90% analog steam gauges and all that kind of stuff. I think there's some cool things like there's a CDU isn't there in there and some other bits and pieces, but or
Yes.
CNU, sorry, but there's no like MFDs or anything like that.
Nothing super fancy.
Mm.
Um, yes. I guess if they want to find manuals for the Black Hawk, of course they just need to speak to the Taliban these days.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's crazy. Well, it's funny actually. Someone in the comments said there's a dude who's got a private UH-60M.
Huh.
Well, America's like they can buy all sorts of grenade launchers and all sorts
Well,
privately. But yeah, he's
there's an
basically got
American privately owned Harrier.
yeah, Exactly. So like if they wanted to get hold of that stuff, they could definitely get in there to scan and open up these. 'Cause it's got the MFDs on there apparently. It's got loads of the systems. So yeah, they'd still be able to fire it up. 'Cause that's the tricky thing, isn't it? With when you've got MFDs, you need to know what the pages look like, and until you can kind of either get a working technical manual or hands-on, how the
Yeah,
hell are you going to know what those pages look like? Um, so yeah, that would be that's one other option as well for that for an M. But an L would be great. Lima would be an awesome Black Hawk.
I'll
Um,
take what I can get.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
need to fly the Chinook a bit more, actually, especially now that they've
Mm,
started implementing the digital automatic flight systems.
yeah.
It's probably getting nicer and nicer to fly that thing.
I flew it today. I was just before I came on stream. I was flying with Tricker on DCS. We were doing some Cola map stuff. Funny enough, Indie Navy is in the chat. It's his server. It's a good laugh,
Nice.
and it's cool. It's very floaty.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just because it's very powerful. I don't know, but it doesn't fly like other helos that I could pick up on. I
No.
won't say it's bad. Maybe it's because it is a tandem, so it's probably got weird characteristics.
Well,
But it's
yeah,
great.
tandem helicopters are kind of, magic.
Yeah. Yeah, different magic. I could see probably the way I'm looking at the Chinook is it will feel a lot better once kind of all those digital systems are in because I think they all kind of bounce off each other and they kind of all work with each other. So I
Yeah.
noticed because they've had a couple iterations now, haven't they, of like various systems that are adding, and it seems to be getting more stable as they're going on. But yeah,
Yeah, it's getting
it's
better and
cool.
better.
Mm,
And I think it's really, really cool. And like this focus that they have just now on logistics, I think is
mm,
really cool because you can make some very interesting missions
yeah.
using that. So yeah, I'm glad they're doing that.
Mm.
And
That's
then
also what would make. So I'll just say this is
uh,
one thing that would make the Chinook more interesting to a lot of people is I think getting back to the dynamic campaign thing, um, you don't mind flying like if you've got a campaign that's playing out,
uh,
it's kind of cool flying supply lines and if you had to your job is to fly a bunch of munitions or reinforcements because the target area is going to be taken out
yeah,
and you feel like you're kind of contributing, but sadly a little bit at the moment in DCS is you even on some of these cool servers with CTLD and stuff, you don't feel like you're kind of contributing that much. It's kind of cool, but you fly around and you're like, okay, now what? So again, getting that kind of feedback to what you're doing would make some of these utility helicopters and some of these like we've got the C-130 coming, stuff like that.
yes.
It make it feel like you're kind of contributing to something bigger, you know.
Enigma did this really well on his servers.
Yeah.
Where like you could take out like an MI8, drop off some troops. They would actually go and seize a location. You could come along and then reinforce them or take them back and then drop them off somewhere else. And it was super good.
Mm.
Yeah, I like what Enigma was doing with that. I don't think his servers. Oh wait, they got adopted by Heatblur though, right? I guess they're still running.
Yeah, it's called Heat Blur's Cold War server now. Yeah, yeah, and they're
Yeah.
just kind of keeping it working. I think they've said that everyone loved that system. We're not going to mess with it. We're just going to bug fix it and just keep it almost
Hmm.
like a snapshot of what it was when they took over.
Yeah, I need to jump back on that again.
Mm.
Yeah, it's good fun. Good fun.
Mm.
Really looking forward to the C-130 as well.
Yeah,
Wags also got a number of questions about Red 4 aircraft, and applied the usual argument there that they cannot get any manuals or any information on those aircraft. So the likelihood of getting anything like Su-30 and up is basically zero. You're not getting any technical specs for those,
mm.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Also, they've never said this, but of course, I would imagine some of their developers, at least, are still in Russia and quite like not being in the gulag. So, yeah, I can imagine they're going to be very, very careful in that kind of stuff. However, of
yeah,
course, I've been saying this for a while. I'm going to reiterate this again. We need to look away from Russia. If you want interesting Red 4 aircraft, look to China, look to India, look to Pakistan, look to all these places. Iran, they have really, really interesting alternative aircraft that we can add into these scenarios. So forget Russia. We're not getting Russian stuff apart from
yeah,
the MiG 29.
yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of other cool stuff we can find.
And there's definitely some older stuff as well that people aren't necessarily talking about as much. So everyone talks about the flanker and
Mm,
the fulcrum, but you got cool things like the Su-22 fitter. You got older variations of the Su-24. They're kind of cool. You've also got things like some of those weird Sukhois from those interceptors. Is it the Flagon that literally just looks like a mental, like looks like a flying dart, basically. There's all sorts of like weird and wonderful sort of like 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, third gen kind of 3.5 kind of era stuff, which is cool. I mean, the big one is the MiG-23. That thing would be awesome and
Mm, yeah.
used by a lot of effectively retired. I mean, Russia haven't been using that for a long time, and I think most of them have all been retired now. But you got cool stuff like that. MiG-25 as well could be cool. Again, that's effectively retired. You're not going to have issues with that, and also you could probably get hold of very easily. What do you call it? Ex-Balkan, ex-Soviet bloc stuff. And then they were a lot of these jets were like you said were kind of exported to things like Libya and Syria and
Yes.
all these sorts of things, and even some weird enough, a lot of them are like South America. A lot of those countries have like all sorts of weird like MiGs and stuff. So yeah, look to that. Look to really old Soviet, and like you said, look to other stuff. It was didn't Serbia have their own weird little jet as well? They had like a weird
Serbia
one.
had an interesting upgraded version of the MiG-21, as I
Yeah,
recall, and it looked really cool. I think
yeah,
Poland had some kind of special variant of the MiG-21 as well. I think they both had quite modernized MiG-21s at one
yeah,
stage. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
think either of them still flies them, but
yeah.
yeah, these were around, and these are very very cool. And like you can look at very very late variants of the F4 as well.
Mm.
Actually, I forget, was it Turkey? Yeah, I think it was Turkey that had what they called the F4 Terminator.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it was like a crazy, super, super, modded, modernized F4 Phantom.
mm,
And they were still flying those until fairly recently. I don't know if they still fly them, but yeah, those
yeah,
were still operating for a while. So
yeah.
there's all kinds of really, really cool stuff. Actually, if I remember correctly, it's Argentina. I might be making this up now, but I think it was Argentina that had a super, super upgraded version of the A4. They were
Yeah,
still flying the A4, maybe still are flying the A4. I don't remember. And it
yeah,
had like multifunction displays and GPS and JDAMs and all kinds of mad stuff.
yeah.
Um, I would love to see stuff like that. That's so unique and interesting.
Mm,
Give me a super modded modern A4. I'd be delighted.
yeah, absolutely. That Peace Pearl thing, which is weird, but that's a kind of cool jet, isn't it? The J8 Peace Pearl and all that
that
sort of
one's
stuff.
that one's cool, but it's also not real.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Which okay, this is a personal preference thing. I don't like you know aircraft that were never actually either didn't exist or were never actually used. Like that, like why? Why are we simulating things that didn't exist? There's so many
Mm,
things that did exist that we could
yeah.
simulate.
Yeah,
But
because even the argument for the Comanche, it did actually fly, and it was like this close to being put in. It was this close.
well,
So like yeah,
yeah, to my mind, the Comanche is just as legit as the K50. So
mm,
sure, yeah, I'm okay with that. But
yeah,
yeah, for me, the Peace Pearl, although I love Deca Ironworks work, so
mm,
I'll buy it and I'll fly it anyway. But to my mind,
yeah,
the Peace Pearl is kind of a strange choice.
yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it will happen now, but I would have also loved to see like the Gazelle was used by like loads of like Red 4, and they stuck like, is it the what was the older? They had some weird older missiles that the Hind used to use, almost
Oh
look like
yes,
mortars, and like it's on
it's on
the
the tip
earlier
of my
Hinds.
tongue. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And there's
Uh,
versions of the Gazelle that had that. That would
yes,
be cool. Stuff like that and different loadouts. And the Iraqis were using Gazelles weirdly enough, as well as the French. In the Gulf War.
I think the
So
Hind can carry it. The missile that you're talking about, I think it's carried by the Hind, and it's an
yeah,
anti-tank missile, and I've
yeah,
completely forgotten what it's called. But
yeah,
yeah, there was a version of the Gazelle that carried basically these Soviet missiles, which is kind of fun.
yeah, sure.
Hmm,
Hmm,
nice. Okay, I think that pretty much covers everything that was in the Q&A. I'm just kind of like skipping through.
mm,
Yeah, yeah. Like they talked quite a bit about the dynamic campaign. So
mm.
yeah, Attacker. No, I don't know. I don't know if that's the one I'm thinking of. Anyway, doesn't
Yeah, it's got a
matter.
weird. It's got a weird name. I know. Yeah, the tongue got thing. You also two things that absolutely worth mentioning
Mhm.
is Matt had a very nice haircut as well. And there was
You
lots
know
of
what?
comments
I
about.
was going to call that out as well. I
Yeah,
think our boy Daddy Wags was looking fly.
He was. He had nice lighting,
Uh-huh.
he had his nice guitar in the background, he had his nice haircut. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's an absolute, slack. Snacky wags. Speaking of which, I actually commented on the video and I said, "Oh, Matt, nice guitar. What model is it?" And then I said, "Oh, combined arms could do with this, or maybe could you reach out to a third party developer and all that." What's hilarious, he did actually reply, but he just told me what guitar it was and just ignored everything else.
We'll go for the soft questions here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm. Nice. AS11 says Robbie Hobby.
Mm.
Oh, Tiger Shark says Sim Taylor. Northrop built a couple but couldn't sell them. Yeah.
Yeah, the F-20. Yeah,
Oh,
so cool.
Sturm. Tog says,
Sturm.
yeah, yeah. I'm pretty certain we're talking about the Sturm here.
Mhm.
I think there were versions of the Gazelle that carried that, and it is also carried by the Hind.
Yeah.
There's also Stugna. That's also a Soviet anti-tank missile, I think. But I think it is Sturm we're thinking of.
That sounds about right.
Mark S. I was going to say nice haircut, but I thought it might be taken as sarcastic. It's like classic thing that like your siblings would say to you. Nice haircut.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the
No, but
thing. Like, I don't want to sound like an arse. We genuinely were like, nice haircut, dude. Looks nice.
yeah, yeah. Like I was genuinely like, our boy is looking good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I,
Do
you
you know
know,
what?
uh
I wonder if he's ever going to watch a video like this, just because we got Nick Gray. We're 95% sure we not got Nick Gray on the Beyond one, didn't we? We're
he
pretty sure it's him.
commented on that video. I'm quite certain of it. Yes.
And we had the glowing Amram commented, and he was very nice. So I think they do watch this stuff. And if Wags is watching, we're really sorry. We're not trying to objectify you.
Yes.
We genuinely are saying you have a nice haircut.
Yeah, yeah. I know I call you daddy a lot.
It's a joke. We're not calling you dad because we think you're a dad.
Oh yeah. Anyway, moving on. We're at
Yeah, good
47
one.
likes. We're only 3 away from an
Really.
amazing bonus video. But yes, John, you have some updates around the AH6 community module, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. So this one is maybe not so great news.
Mm.
So
Bad
everyone,
news, everyone.
it's basically bad news. So the OH6 Loach mod, which I think you've done a little like mod
I
like
did.
preview on, which is a great helicopter. And
It
actually,
is.
since you reviewed it, it's had like flight model updates, loads of extra elements. What's been really cool with that is they've also added loads of like Vietnam assets as well. That when you get the aircraft, you can have it on its own, or you can get a bunch of assets. It's a really, really cool mod, and it's based on NASA flight models. They tested that helicopter. The other one was the Cobra as well. There's a guy called Violent Nomad who's working on a Vietnam era Cobra. It's the Golf model,
Mm.
and those two are basing their flight models off NASA data, which is really cool. But yeah, so they did the OH6 mod. I think he's called Tobson, and the other guy's called 8 Ball, if I remember rightly.
That's correct.
And
Yeah.
they're working on the OH6. They've done the OH6. It's actually released. It's cool, but it is very much an early version. I think it's the four-bladed version, and it's also got the split tail, and obviously very analog, very Vietnam.
Mm.
So one of the things that was really cool, and I think we've maybe even featured it a couple of times in our streams with little bits of information, is they've been working on a AH6J, I think it is. So this is very much which most people know the Little Bird from. This is the quintessential Black Hawk Down era um, uh, Little Bird. So it's that early 90s, late 80s, very basic. It's got the cool speak and spell RWR. It's
Am
got
I
the
am I making nonsense up again, or am I right in saying this is originally based on the McDonnell Douglas 900?
something like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely the upgraded version. So you got a six-bladed rotor. You got the T-tail. I think it's got a better engine in it as well. So you're looking at a Little Bird which has got a lot more horsepower.
Mm.
And then obviously the big things is it's got 7.62 miniguns, rockets, all that kind of cool stuff. And I think it also had like a very rudimentary Garmin like GPS. And they were working on all their stuff. It looked great. Sadly, the mod maker has decided to pull it
Mm.
from he's stopped effectively stopped it immediately working on it. And what is sad about it is it's because the mod maker has basically just been harassed non-stop. There are some you have to call it out for what it is. There are some
There are
people.
people in our society.
Yeah, there are buyers society. There are people in the DCS community who can't seem to get a proportionate sense of, um, when is it right to criticize things and when is it right to, what's the right balance of trying to improve something and constructive criticism. When is it best to sort of, pardon my French, shut the fuck up. And I think what's been going on is that there's been some Rivet counter types who have just basically been DMing the developer, and I'd stop short of harassment, but effectively making it a very unpleasant experience for him. Now, I understand that people, like with some of the Razbam drama and some of the other modules, when you pay $80 for a product,
Yeah,
you might be pissed off if something breaks or doesn't work and all that. But when you've got people working on extremely complicated stuff like this and giving it away, and they're working on it for free, um, yeah, I think it's a shame when people get so into it that they cause problems. And enough that someone effectively just goes, you know what, I don't have time for this. I'm not, why would I be invested in this? I'm getting no money from this. I'm doing this in my spare time and I'm getting people effectively giving me
shitting on
endless
your
amounts
work.
of shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially so when you're not getting paid money. So sadly, he's decided to pull it. I suspect I mean, the guy. I completely support his decision if that's how he feels. I
same.
think,
Yes.
and I know,
Like
you
you
think.
should only be doing this if you're enjoying it. This is something you're putting your free time into. So like if it's
Mm,
not delivering for you anymore, you're not getting out of it
mm,
what you need to continue, then yes, this is absolutely the right decision.
yeah, and I would say that if someone is getting to the stage where they're miserable creating something which should be fun for
Yeah.
other people to enjoy, that person has 100% right to just walk away. They owe you nothing. They owe you nothing. So, what is a shame is he's pulled it, and I don't think that's an overreaction. I think that's perfectly reasonable,
Hmm.
and it's a shame. Now, what I'd like to hope is, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it on here is there's been a couple people putting out some videos about this. There was a chap called, I can't remember what he is now, on YouTube, Devil505, who immediately put out a video basically saying, to try and offset all that negative criticism, to try
Yes.
and say we really appreciate you and we love what you're doing. And I kind of want to do a little bit of that, is to say that, like, I think what these guys do, especially when they don't have a source development kit, is pure wizardry. Like, it blows my mind. I feel like I'm Pippin and they're Gandalf. I just feel like I'm like, can I have second breakfasts? And he's like, you fool of a took. That's how I feel. I'm just a moron compared to these guys. And the fact that they can, like, simulate rotor dynamics and all these things, and they don't even have access to, like, the full modding kit is wild. So I think it's a shame, and what I do hope is maybe the guy give him a bit of a break, 3 months, 6 months down the line, goes, you know what, I've got a bit more spare time. I feel a lot better about this. And hopefully to act as a buffer to some of that negative criticism, to turn around and say, this stuff is really cool. And I appreciate this. I think the OH6 is an amazing mod. I
Yes.
hope the AH6 comes along. I was extremely excited for that. That was the one I was like, this is cool. This is really cool. And I potentially saw that as, like, potentially the next A4. Like, I was like, could be really exceptional, because I think that's one that a lot of people more connect with as well. And I could have seen a lot of servers running the AH6 mod as well. I could have seen a lot of servers giving people the ability to jump into that. So yeah, I'm hoping as time goes on, is he kind of reconsiders, what's the old term, is let cool heads prevail,
Yeah. Yeah.
calmer heads prevail. But yeah, it's a shame. And if anyone's curious about this was announced via their Discord. Do you know what it was all about? Do you know what was the short breaks cameras back? I kid
Hmm.
you not. It was, he had some night lighting on the center console, and they were literally, someone was DMing him because it was the wrong shade of blue. And he was like, well, from what I've seen, it looks about right. And they were literally DMing him so much, he just went, you know what, I'm not doing this, over
Yeah.
the wrong shade of blue on some night lighting. It's just wild. So I think occasionally you need to call out this kind of toxic behavior, and this is genuine toxic behavior. And I think this shit needs to stop.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
when you're getting modders walking away and literally just ditching projects because they're getting this kind of shit is unacceptable. So I just want to put some A to say I think his works is amazing. If you watch this video, I wish you would reconsider, and I think a lot of people do really appreciate what you do, and I wish more people would. There's human beings have this negative bias, don't we? We tend to say something when something isn't working, but we don't tend to say nice things when it is working. We just kind of take it for granted. So it's me sort of saying, buck that trend, go, this is amazing stuff. If you haven't flown the OH6 mod, by the way, which is still available, go and download it, install it, play it, fly around. It's fucking awesome. If you do see the developer Tobson or 8ball on any Discord servers, don't send them a nasty DM. Send them a nice DM. Tell them
Yes.
if I think
Yeah.
their work is good. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with all of that. I think this is a very unfortunate situation, but I think they've made the right call. Like I said earlier, it has to be delivering for them. They can't just be giving and giving, and they can't
Yeah.
be like forcing themselves through, like taking all of this negativity. Yeah. So a bit of distance is definitely the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very sad, but yeah, check out my video on the H6 as well,
Yeah.
where I fly it around a bit, and I have a great time flying that thing. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Mike Delta raises a really good point. This is why you have a media team to foot out the crap. You know what? People give ED. People. I've seen it before. Is it Big Nui and is it Mike Delta? What's his name? What's the two main guys? It's
Is that
Nine Line, and Big Nui.
yeah?
They those guys, they get a lot of shit. Like yes, they have definitely said a few things which are a little bit. And they've definitely responded to things a little bit. But when you consider the amount of shit those guys get, and they are effectively spaced armor between like people and the devs, and there's a reason for that
And the
because
DCS community is a tandem warhead.
it literally is a tandem warhead. It is a fin stabilized discarding Sabo, and somehow they're able to stop that and act as spaced armor. But you
Yeah,
can see why you don't really see the devs specifically really interacting with the community, and maybe that is a good thing, and that's why. And my actual suggestion actually in that Discord when this stuff kicked off was they had one of their guys who's a moderator, and I was like, basically, if you guys do go forward, I think that there should be a real buffer between the guys working on this mod and the community. That's what that's what community managers are effectively for, to act as a buffer. A lot of actually some of the dev discords are literally like if you tag on Discord a dev, you will literally just get kicked out
just
because they're like, no,
insta ban.
yeah, you just don't do that. It's just not something you do. You talk
Yeah.
to a CM or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. I think it's important that we raise the profile of this story.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
be,
It's not a
be
positive one, but I think we need to talk about this where it comes along.
yeah, be kind to your community mods. They're making cool stuff that you're enjoying. So
Yeah.
yes, be good.
Mm.
Alrighty. I think that's pretty much all the news that we have for this week. We did, in fact, hit 50 likes. So I've set the little bonus video live. So after this stream, you should all scurry off and watch that. It's a bit of a laugh. It was a fun one to film, that's for sure. And yeah, I think I'll take this opportunity to say, John Bloor, you can watch him on twitch.tv/John Bloor, and you should do that. And you should press whichever is the correct button in the Twitch TV interface. Are we following on Twitch? I think we're following.
Yeah, follow. I've always said to people, I don't ever expect anyone to sub or whatever it is paid. If anyone does that, don't get me wrong, I'm extremely appreciative. I don't stream to make money. I stream because it's fun and I like people and I like talking to interesting people and having fun with other people. So I've always said I'd prefer a follow before I'd ever want a subscription. I'm not gonna say no to them, but I'd always say, yeah, definitely hit me with a follow. I always appreciate people coming in and chatting and stuff. And so far, generally speaking, as to a kind of what's the word? Aside to what we just talked about with the mod making stuff. Generally speaking, most people in the DCS community I've interacted with are actually really nice. So
Same
yeah.
actually. I've the only negativity that I've ever come across, and I'll put it out here right now just so everyone can enjoy it. I regularly get comments about either my accent or my pronunciation, and like if that's the only thing that people want to neg me on, then I'm fairly happy. I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
absolutely.
I very occasionally get comments from people saying that's not how you say that, and I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
come from a particular part of the UK where that's how we say that. So you're just gonna
Deal
have
with
to
it.
you're just gonna have to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone loves to fly the Kia Aura, and
Yeah.
rather than the Kiowa. So deal with it.
Yes, indeed. But no, apart from that, everyone is super duper nice.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm Deepak. Every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. UK time, I post a tutorial video. Currently doing a series on the Apache, and that's always followed by the DCS news, which is this thing what you're watching just now. And if you want to further support me, unlike John, I do rely on this income. I'm very poor. Please help me. No, I'm joking, of course. You have the option to join in Deepak's ground crew for a small monthly fee, and you can do that by clicking the join button below. I really, really appreciate everybody who does so. But if you can't or don't want to do that, subscribe, like, and comment. That's all free, and I also really appreciate that. As Tog points out, I do still have to pimp the VAF, so I'm going to do that just now. It will result in John disappearing for a moment, unfortunately, but very sorry. Ah, he's gone. But yes, the VAF, or the Virtual Air Force, is a virtual online squadron originally founded by myself and Dot Chuckles many, many moons ago. We fly every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. UK time. We currently have squadrons for the F-16, the F-18, and the Harrier. Click on the Discord link in the show notes below. Come join us. We're always looking for more pilots, controllers, mission makers, livery makers, scripters, and all that jazz. And I'll now bring John back. They're a great bunch. John's flown with us as well. You've joined us in the Harrier on occasion.
Couple times, yeah. I need to. I keep saying I need to do more. It's just always spare time in it. I do a bit of streaming, and I'm like, oh bloody hell, I've flown around enough now.
Yeah,
So I need to do more.
yeah. I guess we do already do a lot of flying in various different guises.
Yeah.
So yeah, go join the VAF. But yes, he's been John Bloor. I've been Deepak. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. Come see us all again next week when we'll do it all again. So yeah, fly safe, everybody, and I'll see you all next time. Ta-ta.